Blog Talk Radio. Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the franchipreneurs of all-in-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Paula Hope, the president of Book Solid. And Paula helps business professionals and their teams create the revenue they deserve through the strategic development of referral personal marketing plan, which includes online activities. Book Solid business professionals learn to create, manage, and leverage their social capital into a system that will grow their revenue for themselves and their firms. Paula is also the author of Stop The Saboteurs, Conquer Negative Thoughts That Hurt Your Revenue and Your Brand. And we're going to talk to Paula about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews from Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia. You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 11 years now, we've been asking the franchipreneurs of all-in-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Paula Hope, the president of Book Solid. And Paula helps business professionals and their teams create the revenue they deserve. Hi, Paula. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm great. Thank you, Marty. Thank you for inviting me on the show.
This is my pleasure, Paula. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from this morning, Paula?
I am calling actually from the Blue Mountains in Canada, Ontario, Canada. So it's a resort area north of Toronto. So everyone, I think, knows where Toronto is, so it's about a 2-hour drive north, yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful time of year to be in Canada, isn't it, Paula?
It sure is. And to be in eastern Pennsylvania, too. So
yes, it is. A little warm here today. You know, and it's funny, we have Blue Mountains here in Pennsylvania, too, but I don't think they're like the Blue Mountains in Canada, though. So I'm sure they're a lot bigger and nice. We do. We have Blue Mountains. Yeah. They're about like 20 minutes from eastern Pennsylvania. And, there's some skiing there and things like that, but it's kind of like a moderate mountain. I don't think it compares to the Blue Mountains in Canada, but it's nice here. The best season here, Paula, is definitely fall. It's the leaves are changing and things like that. But I've always wanted to go to Canada in the summertime. It's just something appealing about being up there. When the weather's, I guess, not so hot. And a little bit cool, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's lovely. It's going to be 90 degrees today here.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and we're right on the water here on Georgian Bay. So, it's very similar to your weather, actually. Just you're going to be a few degrees hotter. But,
yeah.
And the Blue Mountains, by the way, we're the best. Our mountain is only about 1,000 feet, but we're the best story for skiing from Toronto.
Really?
So that's been the advantage, yes, that we've had.
Oh,
and
that's fantastic.
Yes. So
that's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's great. You're you're tagged, Paula, a referral marketing expert, and I love that tagline, and I love the name of your company, by the way. It's very clever, book solid. I said it's really very clever. Maybe you could talk to our audience about what is referral marketing for someone who's never heard of it before.
Yes. And it's interesting that if you go to business school, you don't really hear very much about referral marketing. No. So it's often called word of mouth. So basically, referral marketing is the systematic cultivation of business by referral. So actually having a system around your network, your message, all of your activities, both on and offline. And it's all part of a strategy where you are leveraging your network on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, it's great, Paul, because, when you think of word of mouth, I think a lot of people, when they think of word of mouth or referral marketing, they don't really think of having a system set in place, do they? But there is a methodology to it, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, so we being myself and my co-author, there's a second book coming out called Your Personal Marketing Playbook, and combining best referral marketing practices along with online activities that help you extend your relationships to online.
Right.
No, it's not something that has been developed at all. In spite of the fact that it's so effective.
Has social media been a big part of this, whole, referral marketing thing, Paula? Does it play a part? I teach marketing for Purdue University in their global division, and we're starting to really get involved, in the whole social marketing thing. But is there a relationship between the two, would you say?
Oh, totally, yes. So we probably put this under cross-channel marketing, which, so much is going on in that area now. So referral marketing is as old as the hills. One caveman said to the other caveman, this guy has a better spear. Go see him.
That's true.
So it's been around forever. And referral marketing is by far the most effective method of new business development, even with all that's going on with online. An average referral where an average amount of trust is transferred from you to a member of a network, the person who's giving you the referral. If that referral closes, there's a 34% chance that referral will close. So 1 out of 3 referrals, when average trust is transferred, is a very high statistic compared to direct mail, which might be 2 to 3% closing rate. That might be generous.
Right.
Or cold calling, which is a 1% effectiveness level versus 34%. And so it's the oldest and most effective method of creating new business.
I used to in the old days. I say in the old days, Paul. I'm talking like I'm old, but I used to do cold calling. Back in the late 1990s, and I would have to make. I think it was about. I figured it was about like 89 to 90 calls. Before I would even get a prospect. And I said, God, there's got to be a better way of doing this. I'd spend 8 or 9 hours on the phone just looking for one prospect, and it just seemed like it always seemed like such a waste of time. But there is a whole methodology to this. I guess the cold call, of course, is a different technique than the closing. I was watching your videos online over the weekend, and I thought they were really very informative, how you talk about each of the different phases, because each of the different phases in, I guess you could say, like a sales format, there's different skills that go into that, isn't there?
Yes. And sales would be the end result of referral marketing. So marketing is making the snowballs, and then sales throws the snowballs. So with referral marketing, you are cultivating your network, you're developing your message, you're using different methods by which you're stimulating and motivating your network so that you have the results so that you can then create the sale. go in and see the prospect together, ideally. That's a referral marketing strategy, is to train your network so that they come with you to visit a prospect to open a piece of business.
Exactly, and you use this technique as well, Paula, don't you? I saw all the the dozens of referrals I was reading about you over the weekend. So of course you use this methodology, and you have some really strong testimonials. After I was watching some of those videos, what was interesting, that really caught my attention is I became aware that you've helped franchise organizations with referral marketing as well, haven't you, Paula? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that, because I thought that was interesting.
Yes, it's been my pleasure to work with a number of franchise organizations, most notably with Liquid Capital, who provide factoring services, so alternative financing services, and they're North American. And there's a great case study. I had the privilege of working with them for 5 years and really going deep with the organization. And helping them onboard their new franchisees. So I nurtured them. I had the privilege of working with some of them for an entire 5 years as they move from an onboarding phase to the emerging franchisees phase, and then to the mature phase. And I'm very proud to say that some of the franchisees, or they call them principals, are in their top echelon now for sales performance. So wonderful to be able to be a part of that. Yeah, it's been a real privilege.
Was there something that you liked about, working with franchises, Paula? Again, the majority of our listeners, we call them, aspiring franchipreneurs. From your experience, what was the experience like in working with the franchise? I mean, was there anything that stood out or that you liked about the franchise model in particular?
So full disclosure, I owned a franchise for 5 years.
Oh, did you really? Oh, wow,
yes,
fantastic.
Yes, it was called the Referral Institute. So basically, that was a referral training franchise organization founded by the founder of BNI, Business Network International, and some of the colleagues that he had that developed the Referral Institute. So I have been a franchisee, and for me, and of course working with franchisees, I think that there's the opportunity to learn from others. There's of course the structure that the franchise organization brings, and of course the program that I was able to offer. Typically, I deal with professional service franchises, but I'm not limited to that. But often, their services are difficult to sell. Whether it's leadership training, another organization I was involved with, Crestcom, or whether it's Liquid Capital offering factoring services, you're not going to have that many business professionals just saying, gee, I need money. That's not something they go around sharing. Yes. So, so just back to your question. So being a franchisee, you get to be part of a community. You get so much nurturing and mentoring, and you can never underestimate. I'm sure, Marty, with your 11 years doing your podcasts, you can never underestimate how much help you need when you start a business.
Right.
You can never underestimate that. There is so much. And then with the franchise structure and nurturing and programs, as I mentioned, that just gives you so much of an edge.
Your service, what you teach, Paula, it's really, the theme that I got, in studying your business model is, you really help your clients to work smart and not hard, that there's an easier way to do this, and because you work with a lot of, different types of businesses, but I imagine the small business owner, one of the things we say is, the problems is that they're so busy working in the business and not so much on the business, and I guess that becomes problematic for a lot of small businesses, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And what I love about referral marketing is that they can be working on the business and have a lot of fun doing that. So referral marketing is about tapping into the network that you have right now when you, say, join a franchise organization, and developing a message and developing a method by which you can be tapping into that network and creating opportunities, and of course creating new members of your network on an ongoing basis. So that's all part of working on the business. Everyone has a network. They need to learn how to tap into it and capitalize on it.
What are the steps involved, in the whole process, Paul, of bringing in referral marketing, coaching, and training into a franchise organization?
Yeah, so I'll go back to what I did with Liquid Capital, which was comprehensive. So I basically divided the franchise franchisees or principals, as they're called, into 3 different learning groups, and that was really important. So I could focus on the onboarding people and really help them move forward. Then the emerging franchisees, so the onboarding people have a network, but they have no idea how to communicate with their network. They need to develop their message, their confidence, their conviction. They need to be out there, which is so important for onboarding franchisees. Well, it should never stop for any franchisee, even if they're in a food and beverage. Statistics show that networking works very well. So you get them going and understanding. We have a point system to help them evaluate their activities on a weekly basis. So there's really bringing people on board, franchisees. That would be the first group. The middle group are emerging franchisees, though, so they may have been out there but not enough. They may have a network, but they don't know how to tap into it. They may have a message. They don't know what programs, what leadership to take with their referral partners. So, and they also, which refer back to my book, Stop The Saboteurs, they probably have saboteurs. Where they've got these nagging negative thoughts saying, are you sure you wanted to join this franchise? What are you doing? What's happening? And because things are, it takes 2 years, depending on the business and the franchise, but it can take a long period of time before you are where you want to be. So those saboteurs can be there saying, well, work on your accounting now. Don't go to that networking event. Well, actually, the most important thing they can do is go to the networking event. And then when you have advanced franchisees, they could have gorgeous networks that are not properly tapped. So they with 5 lunches could change their world. 5 lunches and a really compelling message. They could change their world. Yeah. So
is that why you wrote the book, Paula? Because I thought the title of the book was very clever as well, and I'm going to pick it up. That's going to be on my summer reading list. I try to read like a couple, books during the summer, and I said, what a great title. But was that like kind of the catalyst? Like, what was the catalyst for writing the book?
The catalyst for writing the book, it was basically around the fact that so many franchisees, entrepreneurs would be doing the right thing for themselves, which is going out, networking and having barbecues and playing tennis and creating relationships wherever they can. But they have these saboteurs saying, well, I'm an introvert. I can't do these things. Or I can't move forward with this because my family isn't giving me the message that supports me. Or so there's all of these. We have 40 to 50,000 thoughts a day, of which 80% of them are negative.
Yeah,
so you can imagine, with all the craziness of starting a business, all of your negative thoughts almost become due. So those negative thoughts get in the way of doing what's best for you and for your business. So also there are a lot of myths around networking and referral building. So we need to expunge those myths because they come from negative thoughts as well.
Right. It's interesting. You mentioned like introverts, Paula, and I always wonder, I guess from your experience, have you dealt with that, like some of your clients, mentioning to you that, it's hard for them because they are introverted. I think a lot of them that's always the big excuse. Is it harder to teach an introvert compared to an extrovert? When it comes to referral marketing?
No, they represent different challenges. So an introvert has the lovely advantage of preferring one-on-one meetings. When they're at a networking group, they want to connect. So they have already they're disposed to doing what they need to do, which is it's the one-on-one time that creates the deep relationships that creates the strong referral. So they're naturally disposed. They just need to feel empowered around that, and they certainly need networking skills to help them. So the other thing about Stop The Saboteurs, why I wrote it, is that people don't actually know what they're doing when they're networking. They don't know why they're networking. They don't have a lot of direction, both for networking and sales. We know how important both of these activities are, but nobody has taught us. And the best teachers
Right.
for us have been our parents. Well, our parents aren't necessarily business people who are going to be able to teach
Sure.
us, or nor are they trainers. So that's the introvert. So the challenge is for them is to help empower them with what their natural skills are. An extrovert, often they're sometimes more of a challenge because they think at a networking event they might have to be performing and handing out their cards right away, and they may not be as ready to be cultivating the relationships, so that when they're going to a networking event, they may be thinking of impressing people, but in fact the best thing they can do is to listen and ask great questions. Not at all what people think is what goes on.
That's an interesting point, right? Because listening is more important than even talking, I guess, in itself, isn't it? You know, especially when it comes to, referral marketing. So I think that's fantastic, and you make a lot of interesting points. It's funny, Paula, because as you're talking, I think it's one of the reasons, I enjoy doing the show so much is because I get this opportunity to talk one-on-one with someone like yourself, which, I would consider myself certainly more introverted than on the extroverted. A lot of people they say, okay, well, you do a podcast, you must be extroverted, and not true at all. I love the one-on-one interaction. I love listening to people and things like that. So you make a lot of interesting points. I guess there are challenges and, of course, opportunities for both groups. So I think that's I think that's really interesting. Have you had over the years, Paul, I'm sure you have hundreds of stories that that kind of stand out. But is there one particular story that maybe you're most proud of, since you started the organization?
Oh, absolutely. I have a banner story that is in my case study, which the Liquid Capital case study, which you can certainly access through sending me an email. But my favorite story is about a gentleman who's a chartered accountant, never sold in his life. Just bought a franchise in his 50s, I guess, his early 50s, 5 children. Big move for him, big move,
of course.
and he was nervous. There's no question, and he just attacked referral marketing. He just took to it. Every Friday he would sit down with one of his classmates, and he'd do his points. In fact, to this day, he's still doing that, and it's just been wonderful to see him flourish. Within the first 2 years, he was already getting close to being at the top of the Canadian deliverers, and at that point he was in the 6-figure range, and it was such a pleasure to see him earning 7 figures about 2 years ago. Yes. So and to see him every month for the last 5 to 6 years. Absolutely brilliant to watch. So motivated and highly coachable. That's what any franchisee that wants to excel like that, those are the 2 basics. And that's part of what I'm also searching for when I get involved with the franchise organization. Who are we going to work with, and let's understand who's going to be open to referral marketing or to any learning. In fact, that's really what coachable and motivated is referring to. So he's my favorite story, and he in my book he's Francesca, so he's disguised. So it's a little secret you can have. That
I'll look
Francesca.
out for that
I don't think he actually knows he is, actually. So
that's fantastic.
There's different characters in my book.
I love what you just said, Paul. You was talking about this gentleman, how he was nervous in the beginning, and it was funny. Many years ago, I was interviewing the most successful franchisee from it's a franchise called Liberty Tax. I think you might have them up in Canada.
Yes, we
do.
But
he said something interesting. We asked him on the show. We said, okay, there's like 3,000 franchisees to Liberty Tax. Why are you, or how did you become the most successful? And he said, I just did what they told me to do. I followed the system, and he was motivated, and he was coachable, and he had a lot of those same feelings going in, and I think that's the key, isn't it? Is just to be coachable. I think maybe sometimes, I don't know if it's harder sometimes at an older age, if we stop becoming coachable, but I think that's very critical, particularly in today's world, if you want to be successful. And it sounds like it's in studying your background, Paula, it sounds like this is part of the the joy of the business. I know you're very successful, but it sounds like, this is the joy of the business for you, is that you enjoy this, don't you? Working with these types of entrepreneurs, I guess we can call them. There must be tremendous joy in that whole experience, isn't there?
Oh, it is. It's wonderful. And just on the note about, so coachability refers to open to change. Yeah. And learning is changed behavior. So you have to be willing to make changes. And to your comment, I've seen some lifelong learners who are in their 80s, and they're fantastic to work with. And I have seen some young people who aren't open to change. So it's really an attitude. But it's a winning attitude, and it's interesting about the Liberty Tax example. That's very true of the friendpreneurs that I've dealt with. They need to be motivated and open to change. Those two, and they're willing to just follow the system.
So what's next for you then, Paula? I know you're working on a new book right now. It sounds like you kind of mentioned that. Where do you see your organization? Maybe if you could look into a crystal ball, 3 to 5 years down the road.
Well, I would like to work with more franchise organizations. I have really enjoyed what we've done, what I've been able to do with Liquid Capital and Crestcomb and some of the other companies that I've had the opportunity of franchise organizations. So I would love to go deep with 1 or 2 more franchise organizations. So a few more Liquid Capitals is what I'd like to work with. But I'm also open to one-on-one coaching. Again, the right individual. Yeah. And one of the things that I underline all the time with referral marketing is that you can find your ideal client by leveraging your network. You're going to have a much better chance of doing that by describing to a motivated member of your network who wants to help you and telling them the story and the picture of the ideal client you would like to deal with. And they're going to go out and be looking for opportunities for you. I would like to work with my ideal client, and they can be individuals, they can be franchise organizations, professional service organizations in the main, the franchise organizations that specialize in professional services. But I think everybody needs to learn about networking. There's just so many myths and networking, and then how do you build referrals? So networking helps you create new relationships. Referral building helps you cultivate them and grow them and select those 8 to 10 referral partners who are really going to change your life and give you a wonderful lifestyle.
It sounds like you really believe in the the whole face-to-face type of networking too, Paula. Which is really I think it's refreshing. I think sometimes we become and I think I'm guilty of it as well. Is just relying on the social network. And I think sometimes there's a misperception of social media, like LinkedIn, for example. I know you and I are connected on LinkedIn, but I guess just connecting with somebody on LinkedIn is not referral marketing, is it?
No.
I mean, it's just I think there's this misperception sometimes that people think that that's kind of almost like referral marketing, as they're building their network. But a lot of times people don't do anything with it, and I was reading an article recently, saying that of course, it's better to have 100 qualified people in your network than 5,000 different people you're connected with on LinkedIn that you have no relationship or anything with whatsoever, and so I think sometimes people misuse the social mediums as well, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. There's lots of opportunity with social media, but even before social media hit the fan, I always use the expression quality over quantity. So you may go to a networking event and there are 100 people there. Oh, isn't that exciting? I'll be able to meet all these people. But in fact, a group of 10 well-qualified individuals, I'd take that group any day and invest my time there because the qualifying has been done for me. So if a member of my network is having a small event and I want to support them and they want to do a seminar or little panel or whatever they want to do, that's a very powerful opportunity. So it's not just social media. I think it's the assumptions that we make that marketing in general too. I think we have to be careful because marketing is reaching as many people as you possibly can. Referral marketing is actually cultivating a very small group of individuals who will then give you very qualified access to rich, strong relationships that they have.
It's interesting that you say that. I was just thinking of personal example, Paula. I went to, I go to the big franchise show. They have a big franchise show in New York every single year. And there's thousands of people there, and there's hundreds of exhibitors. But several years ago, I went to a small, intimate franchise show in Philadelphia, and it was the most productive thing I think I've ever done, because I really had a chance to meet with some different types. They were more smaller types of franchises, and you were talking about ideal client, and I said, okay, those are ideal clients for franchise interviews, as far as like sponsorships and things like that, and I said, God, I said that one small tiny event, I think I've never done so well as far as building my, referral network program, then as opposed to go into this big, massive Super Bowl event, with thousands of people there, and it really wasn't as productive, So it's interesting that you use that example, because I think it's very true, isn't it?
Yes, I am mid-July going down to the U.S. for an intimate kind of gathering with franchise organizations. So I'm going because I know that it involves dinner at the host house, and there's just a whole a feeling there that I know there's going to be a lot more done there than of what I want to do, create deep relationships, create opportunities. I'm also going down with one of my clients who's launching a new business in franchising.
Oh, wow.
So all part of supporting him, and of course, referral marketing is all about giving. So I'm giving back to him, and of course, that always comes. It's great to give anyway, but giving you never know how that's going to show up. But I love your example, Marty, and I'm so glad that you brought that forward, because I think it helps the listeners get a sense of the fact that this is something we understand in our gut. We understand. Oh yeah, so a deep deep conversation with a member of my network could change my world. But it's so distracting to think that you could reach 50,000 people with a social media strategy, or more, or millions, or but we need to look at the quality of the connection.
It's funny. I was just thinking about it. I mean, it's really how I learned about you, Paula. I was referred to you. I had several people say some really nice things about you. They said, you have to talk to this amazing woman, and, I looked up and I said, wow. I said, what an impressive background, and it really does work, doesn't it? I mean, it's fantastic. So it's been really great to talk to you. What's the best way that our listeners can get in touch with you, Paula, whether it's buying the book, or learning about all your different services? Are there any like websites or numbers that you'd like them to call or check out?
Sure. So if they want to reach out to me, then Paula at booksolid.ca. So booksolid, BOOKED, one word, .ca. They want the case study, and of course there's my website, www.booksolid.ca, and of course LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well if they wish to reach out to me there.
And you have some great articles on your LinkedIn page as well too that I checked out, and they were just fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And I do have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks. So you talked about 11 years. I can't quite reach that, but I've been writing articles for my network for the last 8 years.
That's great.
For the longest time, I was every week. Now I'm every second week. And my book, by the way, is on Amazon. I'm traditionally published, which means that you can access through your libraries or through your bookstores. They can then access getting the book for you, or you can use Amazon, whatever one you prefer.
That's great. And I saw your blog. I kept trying to remember if it was a blog too, Paula. On your website. I think that's where I saw a lot of your great articles as well too.
Yes.
I think I saw some of them up there as well. And I printed some of those out. Because I thought they were fantastic, and I'm going to continue reading. So I'm glad I was introduced to you, Paula, and I had you on the show. And I'd like to invite you back as once you finish your second book, because I'm sure that's going to be fantastic. And again, I'm going to read the book this summer, so I'll send you an email. I'm sure I'm going to love it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'd love to come back when we launch the book in the fall. That would be super.
That's fantastic. Well, it's great to have you on the show today, Paula, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Okay, thanks so much, Marty. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Today's Great Quote in Franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today, you're going to get to hear from Nick Friedman, who is the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk and Moving Franchise Opportunity. And Nick said something really quite brilliant on our show that we haven't heard in over a decade of doing franchise interviews. we started speaking about the 4 F's of franchising, and interesting enough, we ended up with 5 F's of franchising as we were doing the interview with Nick. And, in marketing, we talk about the 4 P's of marketing, which is product, price, promotion, and place. So I thought this was really brilliant what Nick said. So here we go with Nick Friedman, the founder of College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving Franchise Opportunity.
History.
What, the majority of our listeners, we call them, Nick, we call them aspiring franchipreneurs. What types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees?
What I like to say is there's 4 F's when considering a franchise, which is also, I guess, starts with a letter F. So, there's 4 F's that come out of franchise. And I think this is what a prospective franchise should think of when they're considering what franchise they want to pursue. And this is, quite frankly, I think what franchisors should consider when they're evaluating a prospective franchisee. The first F is fit. Do they fit? In other words, do they have transferable skills that can make them effective at this business? Have they done anything in their prior professional or personal lives that would make them be successful in this type of business? The second piece is the family side. In other words, does their family support them in them pursuing this endeavor, whether it's their husband or wife or kids or parents? Do they believe in them? Because you don't want things to get tough in their inner circle to say, I told you so. You want them to, kind of cheer them on to get through it. The financial piece is important. In other words, are they capitalized to be able to invest in the opportunity, and do they have realistic financial expectations? And then the last F is the fun factor. Can we have fun working with this individual? Franchising is very much like a partnership, even though that's not typically called that. You got to have, an alignment of vision and values to be able to enjoy working together. So that's really what we look for. We want people that believe in the secret sauce that we've already developed. We don't want somebody to come tell us that they think it should be done differently. We want them to tell us that they believe in what we've created. And sure, we would, want to continuously improve and encourage ideas, but we want folks that believe in the system and are going to execute the system rather than trying to shortcut success by doing it, doing it their own way. And I think that's, really no different in our system than any other franchise model that is going to be successful long term. They need to really take into account those factors.
That's great, Nick. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. Anytime we hear, Michael Gerber's been in there a couple of times, but we're going to put that one in there because I haven't heard that in over a decade, and I think that's great advice to our listeners. It's really fantastic because it's true. I mean, you could really, your business, you could teach to anybody, couldn't you? I mean, pretty much, but it's interesting in putting those factors in there, like family support, and even fun. I haven't heard that, but it should be an enjoyable business. And, because it is a stressful situation for the customers, I guess you got to be able to put a smile on your customer's face, don't you?
Absolutely. And I mean, as you know, there's over 3,000 franchise opportunities out there. So, what's going to separate one from the other? It's got to be something that you can enjoy. And I guess I'll grab another F out of there. I'm on a roll here. Fulfillment. Is it something that, we're going to be fulfilled doing day in and day out? Because I think franchising is a lot like a gym membership. If you join the gym, you've got fitness goals. You're getting access to all types of equipment, personal trainers, coaches, workout groups, but you still got to go and show up and do the work. So if you buy a franchise, you're getting access to the business model in a box. You're getting access to trainers, coaches, fellow franchisees that you can, hold each other accountable with, but you still got to show up and put in the effort to execute that business model. So that's where I think those factors come into play.
Once you decide that, you do like them, and they like you, Nick, and there is a fit, what is the training like? I mean, do they typically come to Florida for training? How does that work? If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Nick Friedman of the College Hunks Hauling and Junk Moving Franchise Opportunity, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our franchise interviews by category page, and then go to our home repair and improvements page, and you'll be able to listen to that whole show with Nick Friedman. It was really a fantastic interview. It was great to finally have Nick on the show. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a big hit. It's hard to imagine. We've been doing it now over 10 years, and it's just amazing to see where the podcast has gone. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, sponsored by Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.